What? Is it already the end of March? Because that means it's time to do an update video. If I look tired, it's literally because I have not really done much else other than sit in front of this computer and write content in the last month. YouTube is sort of just gone to the wayside. I don't even know where the podcast is, but I can pat myself on the back because this month I crossed 100,000 words on the new site, on my MIGA site, and that is the site we are talking about in today's video. If you don't know what site I'm talking about, check out the links in the description or wait to the end of the video. There will be a link that will just take you all the way back to the first video in this series. Basically, I'm just updating month on month on a site that I started in January 2021. There are more than a handful of people in our community who are building along with me, and it's really fun to be able to talk to people who are going through the same things that I am right now. So let's get to it. So in March, I set out the goal of bringing the total word count on the site up over 100,000 words. I've been doing about 30,000 words a month, so this was going to be a slight increase of about 10,000 words to be able to get there. And I'm recording this on March 28th, so I obviously got there. But it did involve some blood and sweat because I also had spring break this month with the kids and all the school and all the stuff. So, psst, real quick, will you hit the like button? Really helps. Thanks. Let's just say I had to push pretty hard to get there, but let's check out how the site is doing. So what you see here on the screen right now are just some shots from my Google Analytics. You can see in the last 30 days, the site had 701 users and GA4 logged 914 page views. Google Analytics on my phone says it's 970, and Ezoic says the number of page views in the last month was actually 766. None of this stuff bothers me at all. The only thing I care about is that these numbers are going up month on month. This right here is the inside of Google Search Console, and the numbers, like I said, I don't really care about so long as those lines just continue over time to go up. Search Console thinks that I'm ranking for about 35 keywords, and there's a handful of those that it says are in the top 10. I'm not following any of that very closely at this point. My main focus is just trying to publish content, but I figure it's good to report it here so that I can keep track. As far as earnings go, I'm excited to report that the site all time on Ezoic with ads has made a whopping $6.02, and the last 30 days accounts for $5.76 of that total. So basically, the ad revenue has been earned for the most part in the last 30 days. The EPMB in Ezoic has been jumping around a lot, and I think that's just because there's not a lot of traffic going through the site compared to the bigger sites. So there's a lot of testing happening. Sadly, I have no other affiliate income that's new to report, just the initial sale that happened in the first or second month. But the exciting thing is that I think at this point I have at least earned my money back from purchasing this domain. All right, so here's the spreadsheet, and in months going forward I'll just be adding new lines for the spreadsheet as we go, but you can see month on month what are the changes as far as the metrics, like how many people are coming to the site and how many page views. And I've noted specifically that I'm tracking these with Google Analytics 4 just so I can be consistent and I don't forget in the future and then use analytics from some other platform to put them in here. But you can see that the total amount earned for the life of this site is now a whole whopping $11.31. And in the future, I'll go ahead and stick an expenses section in there when I actually have some other than the domain, because at this point the only expense is the $8 and some cents that I spent on the domain. But you can see also the progress of creating content for the site, which frankly for me is like the most important thing at this point, more important than traffic or earnings. Just how consistent am I getting out there and putting out blog posts? And so you can see that I did 25 posts and then I got to 54 and then to 92 and I failed. I didn't get to 100 this month, but well, there's still time. First of all, today is March 28th, and I'm looking forward to having a really productive April. So what's the focus for April? You know, initially I thought it was going to be harder to get to 100 posts. And I actually kind of figured that once I got to 100 posts that maybe I would want to just sit back and take a break and work on other things. But thinking about the content that I have made lately on YouTube has really, I guess, refocused me on what is most important, and also what I initially said in January that I wanted to focus on for this year, and that was focus, right? That was the theme. not letting myself get distracted, you know, like a squirrel, like this way and this way when the new thing comes out that I want to work on. I have said that April, I'm going to spend more time on YouTube and work on my podcast a little more. But ultimately, I just need to take my own advice, take my own medicine, and just keep cranking out content. So that is what April is going to look like. Obviously, it's pretty hard to avoid like the looming cloud of the May Core Web Vitals update that has like been this impending doom that everybody has been worried out for basically a year. Now, up to this point, I have basically almost entirely ignored all speed considerations with the site, with the exception of trying really hard not to like overburden the site with plugins and also to run a really fast theme. I've never really run like caching plugins or anything else extraordinary because it's never really mattered that much to me. Now, I had previously tried the Ezoic Site Speed Accelerator and I hadn't really liked it. I attribute part of that to not really understanding how my site worked and really how to utilize the tool. And I also want to blame it a bit, as much as I possibly can, on my host and some of the conflicting plugins and other tools. So all things being equal, I was actually prepared to give the Site Speed Accelerator another go. But turns out Ezoic is retiring it. They're getting rid of the tool and people who are paying for it just won't be charged anymore because the tool isn't going to be available. Instead, they're rolling out this Ezoic Leap thing. And if you've hung around the community at all, I mean, this isn't going to be new news to you. But at this point, since I already have my sites successfully on Ezoic and successfully like running and utilizing their CDN and their cache, assuming that the tool rolls out here pretty soon, I will probably devote some of April to seeing what sort of scores that I can get using those services. Because also they're free. I'm not that concerned about breaking my site forever, and I want to know how they work. So you can probably expect a report on how that goes at the end of April. As for the MIGA group for the accountability project, I've said publicly that I had planned to shut down the spreadsheet and just not follow it anymore going forward. But given my current goals, and also because I've talked to some of my colleagues that said that was really helpful, I think I'm going to continue to do it. I actually already have the April tab set up and I put my name in there, though I haven't necessarily figured out exactly what I want to accomplish as far as content for the site in the month of April. So if you want to come along with us, go ahead and put your name in there. The link will be in the description. And if you have a MIGA site that you started either in December or January, or you're working on a site with that MIGA intent, like make sure in the comments you let me know how it's going. There's some folks that were with us pretty steady in January and February, but things are starting to get a little cricketish here in March, and I'm starting to worry that some folks are falling off and losing motivation. So let's lean on each other and remember why it is that we started these projects in the first place. What you should see on the screen right now is actually the link to this playlist that this video lives in, so you could go back to the first video and watch them all the way through so you can catch up to where we are. And there's also a video up here that YouTube thinks that you will enjoy, that will be helpful.